will that work, and is that still an illusion, or is that more akin to actual free will?
That's more akin to free will, but if you have planned out everything that happens at every location they go to, then obviously it's not really. They can go where they want, but things are still pre-planned.
I got a critical thinking question for you, and I want to talk about it in terms of how it relates to gaming. I was going online, and
Yes.
I looked up a whole list of critical thinking questions. And some of them seemed like they might actually relate, surprisingly enough, to gaming. The one that I picked up that I thought you might want to talk about, if you want to talk about it, or we could peace out now, I guess that's also an option. Is free will real or just an illusion?
Yes.
Is this the real world, or is this just fantasy?
We're caught in a landslide here.
No escape from reality. But the thing about it is, I'm just a poor boy from a poor family, and I don't really know the answers to this. But when we're playing a game, and we can talk about video games, we can talk about tabletop, there does seem to be a little bit of this give and take where it comes to the input of the players, and if they actually have as much free will as they might appear or think that they have in the game world.
So for video games, obviously the answer is going to be no, you have no free will. Like, you can do what you want in the game, but all the things that you can do are pre-programmed in there.
Yes.
So it's the illusion of free will. You can do anything you want within the parameters that have been set out before you.
Right. The logarithmic part behind the scenes is already predetermined what you are allowed to do in the space.
Right. And if it's something that the game just says you cannot do, then you can't do it.
If there's no ability to crouch in the game, you cannot crouch in the game.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Tabletop is a little different, though.
Yes.
Because players can do things you don't anticipate.
Right.
And they do often.
Yes.
Which obviously real people and real, players doing these characters have free will in what they do. But you as a GM can say, no, you can't do that if you want to. Most people don't take kindly to being told no.
No.
But the other thing with that is that even if you want, you can just make it so that the players feel like they have free will. I think this is something we've talked about on the old show before.
Right.
Party needs to go to this place to do this event, and they decide, I don't tell you that, hey, we're going to go rob a train.
Mm-hmm.
Or go to this town. And you say, okay, cool, we're going to go this direction, which is the opposite way the town is. You can still find a way to circle that back around railroad style and make it so that it doesn't matter which direction you go, the event that I have planned for you to find is still there.
The railroad can have a scenic route
Yeah.
to get back. I guess that this is also a worthy question. For the person running the game, is free will real or just an illusion? Because the players dictating what their characters are going to do may have a great effect on whether you actually have free will to run the game in the first place. The players will just say, well, we're not playing the game anymore, and then you have nobody playing the game. That kind of is the give and take, I suppose, for storytelling in general, is that if you are not alone in a project, your free will is going to be somewhat limited by the other people that are part of the experience.
Yeah.
To some degree. If we come in with parameters of what we're supposed to do, then I would certainly hope everybody's on the same page. And in some ways, the players do indeed have free will because they can choose just not to play the game at all. If it's been made very clear to them about what the game is going to be and how the game is going to function, then they have the free will to opt in or not. Tell me if this seems like a really horrible idea. It is.
Yes, it is.
great.
You're welcome. Saved you all that time.
I think we've even talked about this on the show. I think James might have brought it up at one point during the live. What if you just built your world, almost GTA style, right? You know, big sandbox kind of world.
Mhm.
And you say to the players, okay, you're the adventuring party now. Have at it. And you can go anywhere in that world. And I have literally no idea what you're going to do. And this is as close to a truly free will, character-driven RPG as you could possibly imagine, where you
Sure.
just go wherever and do whatever.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
Those. Is there more to this, or is that the basis?
Well, yeah, we'll start there. But basically, will that work? And is that still an illusion, or is that more akin to actual free will?
That's more akin to free will, but if you have planned out everything that happens at every location they go to, then obviously it's not really. They can go where they want, but things are still pre-planned.
Yeah.
The way you get around that is by having like random encounters, which are random by nature, but that's not a tailored experience at that point. That is letting charts dictate what happens on the whim of the dice. Problem I have with a setting done in that fashion, or a game done in that fashion, is that players don't know what they want to do. And
That's
if
true.
you set an entire world map at your players and say, we're gonna do adventuring, you're starting here, where do you want to go? They're gonna have no fucking clue on where they want to go or what they want to do.
Well, I mean, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to head north and start walking.
Yeah, because I've done games where I'm like, cool, you guys can do what you want. What do you want to do? And it comes down to a couple sessions of playing, and then people are like, all right, there's like no storyline here. I'm not invested.
Right. And then they need some kind of direction in order to get going. I mean, for me, I probably would like that just because I want to be able to just mess around and do stuff.
Sure, but that does not really end up making a campaign that lasts a while.
Right. It would literally be the thing of me like, spin me around for a while, and then whatever direction I end up with is the direction I'm headed.
Right.
And see what happens. Like, maybe the better question here isn't, is free will real or just an illusion, but do we really even want free will when we get to games? Because it feels like if you leave things too open-ended, you're not even going to enjoy your experience. I'm in the middle of playing a Mass Effect, and I'm realizing that if they had given me no actual goals of what I'm supposed to do...
You'd never got the story done.
No, and I probably wouldn't, because when you get onto the on-ground, like the unexplored planets that you go to, where you're running around in the Mako and everything, in your ship, once I get there, I feel kind of lost, like it's just this big barren wasteland. And I have to immediately look to the maps to figure out, like, hey, are there any icons on here for, like, stuff I'm supposed to do while I'm here?
Yeah.
Stuff I'm supposed to explore? Because I don't want to keep running over these mountains and try to figure out how to get over this thing.
I have that issue with Elite Dangerous where it's like, here's the galaxy, have at it. And I'm like, thanks, cool, I like exploring a bit, that's fine. But it gets really boring when you're in empty space for 3 hours, just going from one system to the next system to the next system, just scanning it. Like, it's relaxing to me, but it's like the story is 3,000 light years away.
I mean, that's what No Man's Sky had a problem with when it first came out, was that directionless,
Oh, at least with current iteration of No Man's Sky, there is the fact that the story and the elements are there, and you can teleport back and forth between wherever you are if you need to. But you can also say, hey, I built a base out here, can I relocate the mission to like nearby me?
Right.
And that's like, oh, I like that, because I'm not gonna go back there, I'm gonna do stuff out here. I want this to be somewhere near me again, so it'll spawn it near you.
Right.
Which is cool. But Elite Dangerous, if I'm 3,000 light years away from what's happening in the bubble of civilization, where the space has civilization in there, I have to go back there. And honestly, the story that's going on, I have no idea. It doesn't present itself. They're trying to do better, but it doesn't present itself in a way that makes it easy for you to know what the fuck is going on.
Exactly. One of the best things that I've seen, especially in more like open or epic RPGs, is where they can set you down and they can say, like, yeah, no, you do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. But we start you off with what the mission is and what the storyline is that you are going to be playing through. Like when we get into like a Skyrim, for instance, which is probably the very typical open world RPG that people think about. You don't just start with them plopping you down. You start with the opening cinematic and the opening scenes where you have to flee the dragon and you go out into the world and you get to Riverrun. That's what happens at the start. From there, you can go anywhere, but you've now been introduced to the story, what's happening with your character, and you've been given missions and potential markers if you want to continue the storyline.
Yeah.
Similar fashion, like one of my favorite games of all time, Fallout New Vegas, does a very minimal amount when you end up in Good Springs, but you've been introduced to the fact that you just got shot in the head, and then you got better, and now you're in Good Springs, and you might want to track down this person, mayhaps, that has shot you in the head. You have this mystery that has been presented to you, but have no obligation to interact with it if you do not want to. But you basically have a guiding light, and the second that you get out of town, you see this spire over the horizon line that is the New Vegas Strip, and you're like, oh, okay, and there's this old broken down roller coaster on the other side, and these are things that you might want to go look at, but you're under no obligation to go and look at them.
Right, do what you want. One of these days I'm literally gonna make a game and have it set on rails.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get from point A to point B? Oh, you follow the train tracks.
Did I ever tell you about when I played Train Sim?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you did a video on it.
I did do a video on it, and the great thing about it was that I spent very little time on the train.
Yeah.
I clipped out beyond what the train part was, and I was just like going out into the fields that weren't very well rendered and everything, and just touring around.
Yeah.
I literally went off the rails.
And the one place you should have been, you went off them.
Exactly, on the one place where I was supposed to be on the rails, and I went off of them. And I will tell you, to be completely honest with you, it was not very fun and very boring. So I guess that kind of explains. I had free will, but I really didn't want it at that point, because it was incredibly uninteresting.
Yeah, it's the same as when you boundary break in a lot of games. It's like, cool, you're outside of the bounds of the game, but pretty boring out here.
I've achieved free will! Okay, what are you gonna do now? I'm gonna go back into the game world because this is boring out here.
Yeah.
Put me back in the illusion. I don't want free will to be real. So I guess the question that I'm going to ask everybody out there is, do we actually want free will in our games?
No.
Probably not. You let us know if we're wrong. I'm sure you will.